Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, great news. My pod will be here in a couple of weeks, so I have decor again, once again on the walls. But today I wanted to go over. Actually, I want to go over a few things. It's going to be a couple of videos out. For right now, though, let's discuss the Alec Baldwin shooting on the set of Rust. So I've already come on and explained to you, and if you talk to any firearms expert, there are 4 rules that we teach at the beginning of every class. Yes, I'm clicking a pen. Sorry to all my high school teachers, Mr. Byron Roach, Mr. Mickey, all you guys. No, I'm not supposed to do that on the desk. Hopefully I don't get detention or something. But anyway, but we explained to you the 4 rules of firearm safety. And I don't know if every instructor says it, but you have to break 2 of those rules for something serious to happen. Think about it. Even if you have your finger on the trigger, but you have your firearm pointed in a safe direction, something happens. Something startles you, you fire a gun, the bullet goes off or the firearm goes off, but it's pointed in a safe direction. Nobody's hurt. You don't have your finger on, or you have it pointed at somebody, but your finger's not on the trigger. There's a 1,000% chance that firearm is not going off. Now, don't break any of those rules. You have to break 2 of them. You don't know what's behind your target or on side of it. But you treated that firearm as if it was loaded. See, you have to break a combination. It has to be a combination. It's not just one thing. It has to be a combination. And I think they were designed very smartly. So what I've prepared for you today, right, is don't just take it from me. I want you to take it from a person who's been in the firearms industry 30 plus years, 30 years, right? And this is actually on our lefty show. I keep wanting to say liberal, but like I said, one of my subscribers reminded me, and I actually thought about it. The old liberals were anti-big government, pretty much about freedom and stuff like so. I'm kind of liberal has developed a bad name, the term liberal, but these people aren't liberals. They're point blank Nazis. They're not liberals, so I'm gonna stop giving liberals that bad name. So with that being said, let's get to it. Get this thing started. Here we go.
A special effects coordinator and theatrical firearms safety expert with more than 30 years of experience. And Steve, we want to ask some very specific questions about the gun, but first, I just want your human reaction to Alec Baldwin saying he felt 0 guilt for what happened.
Not really unconscionable. There was enough blame to go around that Alec certainly knows that he has partial responsibility in this. If he's not the one who brought live ammo on the set, he is the one who pointed the gun at her, and he is the one who pressed the trigger. And I can't imagine being in that position and not feeling some sense of guilt and remorse. And his trying to steer the conversation to where did the ammo come from? That's not his job. He was asked, what's the actor's job? Well, the actor's job is not to try to determine what the direction of the investigation is by telling people this is the one thing I want you to focus on. There were many factors, and he was partially responsible.
So the gun, and this is one of the big headlines from this interview. Alec Baldwin made the claim that he never pulled the trigger, that what he did was he pulled the hammer back and then released it. Explain
exactly what happened.
Okay, explain to me what he's claiming and how plausible that is.
Okay, so not plausible. On a single action revolver, when you pull the hammer back, which is an intentional act, click, 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 click. Now the hammer is set. When you pull the hammer back and let go, as you can see, I'm not holding this, the hammer doesn't go anywhere. When you press the trigger, which is, I'm going to do it with this finger so you can see what a minute act that is. It takes very little to press the trigger there. So option one, he pressed the trigger, but it was such a minor press that he wasn't aware that he had, ordered that signal from his brain. Or option B, he's holding the gun with the trigger depressed. Now, on this gun, it doesn't matter which order you go in. You can either cock the gun and you can fire it with the trigger, or you can press the trigger and then cock the gun. And if you release it at this point, it falls and the gun fires. So if, as he is cross-drawing, his finger is on the trigger, which he may have interpreted as just resting on the trigger, but with a 1 millimeter pull, that would be sufficient. Now he pulls the hammer back and then releases it. He doesn't have to press the trigger again if he's already got pressure on it in order for the gun to fire. And I think that's really a key point in this matter.
Two other possibilities that I have seen raised, and everyone who raises them say almost minuscule chance that it could be. Number one, he didn't pull the hammer back to the point it clicked. Any possibility of doing that and discharging a bullet?
Now there are detents that catch the hammer, at each point in the way. I could let go at any point, and the firing pin never will impact a casing.
And then the last possibility is that somehow the gun itself was flawed, so that the mechanism that would cause it to click, as you have really very, very clearly pointed out to us, somehow didn't work. There was no click there, and that somehow there was nothing to prevent the hammer from going in. Any possibility of that?
Only an investigation that examines the interior parts of the gun could reveal that.
But unlikely in your experience?
Very unlikely. I've never seen it happen.
Steve, I want to thank you for showing us that, because that explains exactly what Baldwin was trying to explain last night and how plausible it was. Now, to his separate contention that somehow the bullet ended up there, you point out, you say that doesn't clear him of all wrongdoing in this or any responsibility in this, but it does raise a very, very serious question, which was there was a live round in the gun, and somehow the live round got in the gun.
Yes, and Mr. Baldwin describes how earlier in his career, he had worked with professional armorers, and he said, they would hand you the gun, they would open the gun, they would show the gun to everyone, they would load the gun in front of everyone and show them what was being put into it. If there were dummy rounds, they would shake it so everyone could hear it. If they would hand the gun to the actor. If the actor manipulated the gun at all, the professional armorer would come over and say, stop, I need to check that. I need to see what you did. Please don't do that again, right? And he said he made sure that the actor was not the last line of defense in protecting the crew. Well, this was not done on this set. Miss Gutierrez was not there handing him the gun. She was not checking the gun. The gun was handed to him by an assistant director who has no credibility as a firearms expert. So he knew the difference between what a real armorer does and what was being done on that set. And he never objected to that. Right? He never said, Dave, why are you handing me the gun? Where's Miss Reed? Why isn't she checking this gun for me? He just took the gun on the advice of someone who he knew had no expertise. And so why would he believe that the gun was clear? And why would Heleno believe that the gun was clear when Dave Halls, who has no expertise, says, cold gun? Well, he should have known that declaration could have only come from the armorer, and she wasn't there.
Steve Wolf, as I said, thank you very much for explaining this to us in such vivid detail. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see there, this firearms expert, Hollywood firearms expert, just shot holes all in Alec Baldwin's case. And him saying he feels no responsibility for anything speaks to the level of these lefties, their disconnect from actual personal feelings. It's it's really crazy. You see it all the time on The View. They separate themselves out from reality. You just killed a woman and you feel no responsibility. Okay. But I wanted you guys to see that video because he actually explained it, because I don't have a revolver. I don't deal with revolvers. Not because I think they're bad guns, just because I have semi-automatics with no safeties, not with no safeties. Every gun has a safety, and go over to Dawson Defense. I'll break that down for you later on today. It's Dawson Defense LLC on Facebook. Every firearm has safeties. They're just not apparent, but they have block safeties, trigger safeties. It's but I break that down on that show. So even the Glock has 3 safeties. But I've just gotten used to shooting those type of guns. And so the way I hold my firearm in an emergency situation, right? I don't want to ever change adjusting to another gun. So that's why I don't have revolvers. But I hope he explained that for you. I hope you have a better understanding of how firearms work, how this was not an accident. No, Alec Baldwin is guilty. You're screwed, Alec. Sorry. No amount of interviews you do is going to change that. But thank you for watching this episode of The Dan Dawson Show. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, do what you got to do.